We get hundreds of emails and DMs every day from viewers like you. They have bikes for sale, they have bikes that they can't get running and have questions, they send us pictures, and we get to see all sorts of cool stuff. And every now and then, something really sticks out and hits my fancy. That's why we traveled all the way out here to the middle of the high desert in California. We are literally in the middle of nowhere, except, you know, for the couple houses around here. Other than that, we are in the middle of nowhere. So I'm really excited. In this garage, here's a couple bikes that I think are really cool. Let's go check them out. Dan, I don't think you know this yet, but you're gonna have to do some work today because there's a little bit of a surprise. You'll see.
What does that mean?
Look at this sign. I love this. I'm gonna get one of those. Craig's shop. You can fix anything but stupid. All right, so this is Matt, and Matt sent me an email a few months ago with this picture, and I was just awestruck, and I was like, hold on, I'm gonna book a flight, and we're coming west. It was a 3,000-mile journey just for this. Matt, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
This is awesome. I'm super excited.
I really wish I saw Greg, though.
Well, he's still sleeping. That guy's a bum.
All right.
The really cool thing about out here is if you ever do like a aerial Google search or whatever, all these backyards are filled with old cars and trucks and boats and motorcycles and equipment, all sorts of cool stuff. And the thing is, they don't really like decay out here like they do back home, back in the East, man. You throw something out in the hedgerow, by the end of summer, you're not gonna see it again. It's gonna be covered in weeds, there's gonna be mices and snakes, and it's gonna rust and all sorts of stuff, but not out here. A lot of good gems come from the West Coast. Let's see what we got. Oh, there they are.
What the heck?
I told you you're gonna have some work to do, Dan. It's not every day I get an email with pictures from bikes hanging from the ceiling. Do you know why? When? Why?
When? No, I just came up one day and they were up there. Why? I don't know. I think he thought it was a better way to store them.
Get some floor space,
Yeah.
and get them out of the way.
And he didn't want to leave them out in the desert.
Yeah, if you had to guess, when was the last time they were ridden?
Early 90s.
Early 90s?
Early 90s, if I had to guess.
Okay. We need to figure out how to get these off the ceiling. And I think I have an idea for that. I'm gonna go push that thing in. Dan, let's go push this thing in. This thing has steps, and we don't have a ladder. This is gonna be our ladder. All right. That was easy.
And this goes up.
Oh, this folds up.
Yeah, and there's pins. Here's that pin side.
All right, we need a plan though. We have a hoist here, we have a hoist here. We have a ladder here, and our bikes are up there. Okay, so here's what I'm thinking. If we can get this hoist close to them, that first bike, that YZ, we stopped and grabbed some of the jankiest tie-down straps Walmart had to offer. They were so janky, they didn't even have them locked up. And I might try to sling that, and then we can use this hoist and just hoist it down. In my head, it's all working perfectly. I don't know how that's gonna translate to actually doing it, but I don't know. We're here, let's find out. Good thing we got started before the heat. It's gonna be a chilly 108 today. Shucks, this'll be easy. Famous last words. I don't know how we're gonna do this. All right, like that. Let me grab some straps. Okay, so I'm trying to get as many wraps of this around to hold that hook tight, because I don't trust these straps at all. They say they hold 500 pounds. Good thing this bike only weighs like 240 some, which is actually a really interesting fact that it was the heaviest motocrosser of the day. Okay. If any of you guys out there are OSHA inspectors, just turn off this video now and we will be okay. You know the best part about working up here, Dan?
Please tell me.
Snakes aren't up here.
I think I might prefer the snakes.
Okay. It's gonna lift up. The front should be good. The back might drop a little bit, but okay. Look at us doing stuff. You can't tell, Dan, but there's 30 years of rust up here, or dust up here on this stuff.
Oh, I can feel it.
Dan, when we get done with this, we're gonna go to the water park.
That sounds good.
Si no, para parar el video porque le valió madre.
Should I see if it has compression before I take it off the ceiling? Because if it's locked up, Dan, we might just go home. Does the engine turn over? Why don't we ever do this before we hand the guy money and take it home?
Oh, crap. Yeah, that's a good point. Can you test it now?
That's like, no, you ain't. All right, fellas, I am getting close here to the point where something might happen, so easy does it. Easy does it, Craig. Okay, our cable is off. Okay, that's coming down. Victory will be ours! Right, Dan?
Something like that. Hey, Craig, just hop on the bike, ride it the rest of the way down.
Yeah. Okay. All right, guys, we're on hooked. Nice and easy. You all right, Matt?
Yeah. You guys got it.
Yeah.
I'm not
Yeah. You're good. Good job. Good job, team.
One down.
One down. Literally. Whenever you're working out in the heat like this, it is super important to stay hydrated. Drinking water, but not just water alone. When you're really getting after it and it's really hot and you're really sweating and you need a good hydration, I got something I'm gonna show you for that. All right, so getting that bike off the ceiling was a lot of work, and it is super hot out here in the deserts of California. Dehydration is a big factor out here, and water alone doesn't cut it. That's why I like to use liquid IV. This one here in particular is the sugar-free rainbow sherbet flavor, and these are super easy to use. You rip it open, pour it into 16 ounces of ice cold water. Whoa! Shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up, shake it up. And then you sip. That is delicious. Liquid IV is a hydration multiplier. It'll rehydrate you better than water alone. Liquid IV has 100% of your daily dose of 4 different B vitamins, 8 other vitamins and nutrients, 3 times the electrolytes to get you hydrated and replenish you faster, quicker, more efficient. And best of all, this one here is lab certified, tested, sugar-free. Man, it's delicious too. How can something with no sugar taste so good? New customers can use our code BEARDED20 to get 20% off your first order. Liquid IV has a ton of different flavors and options. Go check them out. It's delicious. I've been drinking it for years and now I'm feeling great. Let's see what we got for these bikes.
Is it locked?
Yeah.
Is it really?
It is.
And
Oh, yeah.
here, let's get it out here and I'll show you why. The 1982 YZ250, I believe was the first Yamaha, water-cooled Yamaha 250 YZ. They had it on the, I believe they had it on the 125 a year ahead of this. It's the 100% hands down the most complicated cooling system you could absolutely put on a bike. Let me show you, come here. You're gonna catch part of this, but a lot of it's in underneath here. Look, up here's your radiator. Right behind the number plate. This is your hot line. So water is coming back up through your frame, up this tube here, goes into the steering stem here, comes up through here, through the triple, out the triple, into this hose, into the radiator. Comes out of the bottom of the radiator, back through the steering stem. There's a plate in the steering stem that keeps the hot and the cool water off of each other and keeps them from separating and stuff. But this is a super, super well-known issue on these bikes. What happens is you get a little bit of a coolant leak or whatever, and after time, it rusts your steering bearings. Locked up tight, but that's why that happened. Yeah, so the water cooling Huge benefit to these bikes. However, the first gen or so was a little complicated and way over engineered. But hey, that's how they figure it out. So, let's see here. Okay, so it's got tons of compression. It's got so much compression I can't even turn it over. But again, that's all right. We can do that. We can fix that. What a cool bike, man. What a cool bike. Okay, so that's one down. Pun totally intended. We got 1.5 to go yet. This one here, I couldn't quite tell in the pictures. I knew it was a 480, but I couldn't quite tell in the pictures exactly what it was. Honda made the 480 for 2 years, 1982, 1983. 1981, they had the CR430. That was their first bike for the open class, and it's kind of known that it was probably the worst Honda motocross bike ever made. 1982, they came out with the 480. The 82 480 was a 4-speed transmission. In 1983, they went to a 5-speed transmission and actually did a whole bunch of other changes. I'll go over those in a little bit with you. And then in 1984 was the first year for the CR500, which is kind of like the king of all kings when it comes to dirt bikes. I'm thinking, he said something about it being a 5-speed. So that would make this a 1983 CR480R, which if you're buying them, again, 83 is the year you want to have. That's the most sought after. Okay, that's interesting. So they have a left kicker. So when they were designing these bikes, and I'll go, like I said, I'll go over that a little bit here later. They were taking their design cues or their engineering cues for the open class bikes from the European bikes, the Huskies and things like that. They were left kick, Honda did a left side kick. Once you're used to it, it's not a huge deal. I don't know why today guys just, all right, I won't lie, I'm one of those guys. I hate left kick bikes, especially if they're a bear to start, man, it just stinks. But 1983, they had an aluminum kicker, and that aluminum kicker was known to break. So the popular fix for that was you took the 1982 steel kicker and put it on your 83 and you were good to go. Looking, this has a steel kicker. So I don't know if that mod was done, or now I'm wondering maybe it is an 82. I'm sure there's a couple of you guys out there that are picking up on some cues with the swing arm and some plastic. You might be able to tell now if it's an 82 or 83. You Honda guys, I can't. I'm gonna have to look and do a little further homework. But yeah, man, just totally cool bikes. And then over here, I believe we have a, I don't know if it's CR or XR, like 80? I don't know if there's any other pieces for that thing or not. Maybe just a frame hanging there. Let's see. We got an air box and some side panels and a seat. He said he has the exhaust sitting somewhere, so that's awesome. Dan, do you believe?
Can I believe what?
We get to do this as a job. Yo, right?
Yo.
How lucky are we?
Oh, that's why, look, it has a bow.
Oh yes,
It's a little,
Christmas.
yeah, happy birthday, Craig.
Thank you. There we go. That is cool. All right, let's set this one here. What do you think? Is this one free? Oh yeah.
Oh, beautiful.
Oh, beautiful. Look at the size of that cylinder in that head, dude. Wow. Pretty darn cool. That's 70s somewhere, isn't it?
Early 80s or late 70s.
Pretty cool.
Do you want to start pulling out those parts then and laying them in front of the bike?
Yeah.
Craig, you being nosy?
Well, dude, like, we got drill index drawers here. We got all sorts of just cool stuff, man.
You think we got the most important parts, Craig?
Well, we are missing an engine.
Oh, never mind. Craig, that could be the frame for the OCC build off.
Oh my God, would that be funny?
Just get a mix match of parts. All we need is we need an engine now.
They show up with these fancy, expensive choppers, and we show up with like an old CR80
with a Harbor Freight engine.
Like, oh man, once things. That is cool. Okay, so you know when you have a gear, say you have a gear on the shaft, and there's a key on the shaft. So there's a slit in the inside of the gear. This is what makes those slots. So these sit down. You have a guide. It's a broach, is what it is. So this will sit in there. This takes up the slack inside the gear, inside the center of the gear. Well, here, there's a picture. And then this is in the press. And as you press this down, these teeth, if you look, okay, you see how this one here is barely sticking out? And you see how this one here is sticking out further? So they're tapered. So as this comes down, as you press this down through, it's just shaving off a little chip of metal with each tooth. And by the time you get this all the way through, you have yourself a keyway right in the gear. That is cool.
Keyway Brochers.
Yes.
It's magical.
That is neat. So if you don't know what this big table is, this is a big slab of granite. And what they do is these are milled flat and machined flat. These will have a tolerance across this table. The lower the tolerance, the more expensive the table, okay? But they will get these tables as flat can be. And then what you can do is, if you want to take height measurements and things, this is a height gauge. You can set your height, and you know you have your parts sitting on a good flat surface because you paid the big money for the big granite slab, and you can get reliable, repeatable, accurate measurements. And that's what this does. Of course, you have a drill index. Every shop needs those. And what that does is that gives you every drill bit size known to man. Because look, a lot of you guys may know this, a lot of you guys may not. Of course, you have standard drill bits, 5/16, 7/16, 3/8, half-inch lengths, you know, all the way up, standard drill bits. Then you also have numbered bits, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way up to this one here is 60. So you have numbered bits. Of course, you also have metric bits. And so here you have standards. Here you have numbers. And then you actually have letter bits as well. Now, if you're just drilling a hole for the sake of drilling a hole, doesn't really matter. Where this stuff really starts coming into play is when, like the letter bits, number bits, when you are tapping holes, when you're using helicoils, when you're using time certs. Anytime you need that precision, it's gonna call for something other than standard drill bit size. So, a drill index like this will give you everything you need, pretty much. Super handy. Okay, so this is a depth mic. So you have a good machine surface here. That is perfectly flat. And then this is a depth micrometer. So here's a normal micrometer, okay? Then here's a depth mic. So a normal micrometer would be, I want to see how big this is. So you can put your mic in there, measure the diameter, get a good accurate diameter measurement on a shaft like that, or on something flat. You want to see how thick that is, okay? It's a regular mic. This is a depth mic. So this was when you want to see how deep that hole is or whatever. So this would get set, and you have different arbors, or not arbors, I forget what they call these, that'll go in there so you can get nice and long. And then, you know, you just turn that down till you hit bottom, and then you can read it just like a normal mic. Oh, there's a big mic. That's what we call him, Big Mike. I'm gonna say these are big calipers. Oh yeah, big and small calipers. Those are regular calipers. Here's a set of digitals. You guys see me use the digitals quite a bit just because of, you know, speediness. There's a set of digital calipers. Calipers are by no means a super precise means of measurement. It's kind of like a machinist tape measure. You'll see a lot of guys that are machining actually use this style versus the electronic style. I think a lot of that's just preference. It's for putting piston rings in or on. So anyway, what you do piston and you have your rings, and your rings stand proud of the piston, you need to squeeze those in order to get them into the cylinder. That's what this does. This clamps around the piston and the rings, you tighten it up, squeezes that all together, set it on there, bink, knock your piston into your cylinder, don't mess up your rings. That is always good to have in the shop. These machinist tools are really cool. I like that stuff.
Snooping for parts. Snooping for parts.
Did you say snooping for parts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is there a part over here? Nope. Is there a part over here? Nope. There you go, Craig. Put that engine in it.
Yeah. It'd be pretty dope for, I like that. Not seeing anything motorcycle related here. It's like we got some Geiger counters up here.
Oh, there you go.
You want a popsicle? Oh, sorry, I ate it. Okay, come tire up. All right, we got the bikes off the ceiling, we got them down, we got them in the truck, we're all loaded up. I think the next stop is car wash. After car wash, I got a big surprise for you. We're gonna go see an old friend. Longtime viewers, about a year ago, we were out here at this exact same place. And you guys remember, we like to call him Diesel Rick. Rick is the man when it comes to the KLR diesel bikes. So we were out here last year. He got us fixed up with the diesel KLR. You guys loved him. We loved him. He's a great friend of the channel, and we found these bikes about 15 minutes from his house. I got excited because I knew we were going to be able to stop in here and hang out with Rick and his wife and have a lot of fun for a...
It's great having you guys here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Oh, thanks for coming.
This is awesome. So we are at Rick's now, and we're going to check these bikes out now that they're all cleaned up and see what we have. Oh yeah. So what do we got for this? I found a pipe, we got a tank, we got the tank here. We got a seat, we got a pipe, that goes on this side, I believe, right? Rick's got a couple years on me, so he remembers these bikes probably better than I do. I was
something of this nature.
Something like that.
2?
I was 2.
I was in the hospital with a broken leg on a bike like this when you were 2.
What else do we have? We got side panels. I found some side panels. This thing's all but complete. Look at that. That's like a motorcycle.
Look at that. Everything stays so... If those things... Well... So much for the contact cement.
Like I said, now that we have it cleaned up, this is 1982. Let me give you a quick history here on these big bore Hondas. The open bike class was pretty big back in the 70s, 80s, into the early 90s. At the time, the European bikes were kind of dominating that market with the Huskies and the Makos and Can-Ams. Honda didn't have a bike to compete. So originally what Honda did, and Mr. Honda didn't even do it, his son actually did it. He came out with and developed a big bore kit. It was for the Honda CR 250. It was just a big bore kit that turned your 250 into, I think, a 360. You could go out and run the open class. However, you weren't competitive at all. Fast forward a couple years, Roger DeCoster, who anybody that follows dirt bike racing knows that name. He is the absolute man and the legend. And actually, he's still involved in motocross today. He's running the KTM team, has turned that around and is doing phenomenal. Anyway, in the early 80s, 79, 80, somewhere in there, Roger DeCoster retired from racing and he moved over to the development side with Honda. The 1981 CR430, Roger was a little late on the design for that bike. He was there, but development happened a year or so before he got there. The 81 430 is known as kind of like the worst Honda motocrosser ever made. It was just plagued with issues. It just wasn't a great bike. That was 1981. 1982, you start seeing more of the Roger DeCoster influence on these bikes. They kind of revamped it for 82. Now, this one here only has a 4-speed transmission. In 1983, you really see all the benefits and the effects of having Roger DeCoster on your team, because the 83 bike was pretty much his design, and it was almost a complete redesign from the 82. They went with a 5-speed transmission. They changed the suspension around quite a bit, frame stiffness quite a bit. The 1983 CR480 was a really good bike. 1984 is when Honda went to their first CR500, which then became the king of the open class bikes. So this is really cool, again, because, well, A, it's a great motocrosser, but B, just having a bike that was designed by Roger DeCoster and showing his influences is really cool. I like that history aspect of things. But yeah, this bike here is a great example. It's not pretty, but hey, it's complete. I don't really know what we're missing other than a spark plug. They ran a lot of magnesium too on these bikes. Our engine cover is magnesium.
Brake outer says the magnesium on it. This does not. And I would think this would be aluminum, plus the shininess. It shows no oxidation, so it's got to be aluminum. You know, okay. Oxidation like this comes hand and foot with magnesium.
Okay. So for a little context, Rick is a mechanical engineer, but he works with a lot of exotic metals and machines a lot of exotic metals, so I'm going to believe what he says. Anyway, the magnesium is pretty strong and it's very lightweight. Is it strong? Is magnesium strong or is it
No, it's not. It's not. It's a weight thing.
Okay.
But also, if you get it around noise areas, it'll dampen noise.
Really?
Yeah, just due to the composition of the material.
What I know about magnesium is like
I know what you're thinking. It catches on fire so easy. Yeah.
Yeah, like those fire strikers.
Yeah.
They're magnesium, right?
Yes. And so what you come to find, like this magnesium case, you're not going to get that on fire. But if you were to make shavings out of it, it's going to go right up, and you'll have a nice fire. Very nice and bright. Bring your sunglasses at night.
And don't add any water or liquid to a magnesium fire.
You'll have an explosion so big you won't know what's going on. You'll just know you need some more of that liquid IV.
Yeah. Yeah. So this is the 1982 CR480. Another really cool thing is it's running the ProLink suspension here. And this was, I don't know DeCoster's role in developing that suspension. I think he was pretty pivotal in it. But what's really cool is this is the same setup. Now, a little different on modern bikes, but this is pretty much the suspension setup you're finding on all modern day dirt bikes. And, you know, it's 1982 technology, but it was that good. We're still using it today, you know. Don't break it if it's not fixed. Something like, you know what I mean. This one here turns over. That's a great sign. Do we have gears? What do we got for gears? There we got neutral. First, second, third, fourth, and then no fifth. That's a bummer. I was hoping it would be an 83. But aluminum box swing arm. Look at just the size of this cylinder and head. You know, these huge fins, and that's just all for air cooling, you know, keep this big bore motor cold. That's a hoss of a cylinder, isn't it?
No cam lever, and they're working both brake pads. They're both mechanically being operated by one cable.
Yeah. Yeah, so instead of your normal brake shoes that would have a pivot here and then a cam here, and that opens these, what this is doing, this linkage, when you pull the brake lever, it's moving this linkage, you're actually moving both pads at the same time. It's going to give you more consistent, more even braking, better braking. And if you know anything about drum brakes, you want any advantage you can possibly get when it comes to stopping with drum brakes. So, hey, all in all, this is a super cool bike. It's complete enough. I'm really excited to dig into this a little bit. I've never owned a big bore two-stroke, so this is a first for me. It's kind of not my jam, but you know what? I feel like every old dirt bike enthusiast needs at least one big bore in their collection. So this is going to be ours. Yeah, so I'm happy with this score, man. I'm happy with this find. I got the airbox there, I have the pipe, I have some side panels. All in all, it's a pretty intact bike. It's not gonna take a lot to bring this one back to life, and I'm really looking forward to doing that. Let's check out this YZ. I'm really excited for this one. We got the Yamaha, and I can't turn it, so I'm just gonna drag it. I'm just dragging. Oh,
I'll get it.
I knocked my bucket over.
Let me save the day for you.
How fun was that?
1, 2, 3.
Oh, whew. Now, you want to talk about innovation. The 1982 YZ250 was full of innovative ideas for the day. Let's go over some of those. All right, not innovative, but we got the Yamaha Gold wheels, and those are perfect. They're lovely. Dual leading front shoes. Again, any advantage you can get when it comes to stopping with drum brakes is huge. So that's a big deal. I kind of already went over the cooling system here. It was without a doubt, the most complex design I think they could have possibly came up with, but they came up with it and they used it for a couple years. However, it took a lot of maintenance. It was super complicated to work on. They stole this technology off their YZ125. The 82 250 was the first 250 Yamaha to be water cooled. And that's this bike right here. A couple other really cool things with this bike. They redeveloped the swing arm and the rear suspension linkage. The 1982 YZ, this is pretty much a completely revamped bike from 81, other than about the front and the rear hub. Everything else is new. We have new plastics, we have new cooling. The seat design and tank design, this was innovative for back in the day. If you look at that CR there, do you notice how it has a short seat and it doesn't come up the fuel tank like this one does? So anybody that's running motocross or riding dirt bikes knows you want to be up on the tank, especially when you're coming into corners, different things like that. What was happening is guys did not like being up on the tank on bikes like that because, you know, hard tank, soft bits, you get the idea. So Yamaha ran the seat up the tank like this. This was a first. This was another innovative thing that they did, and the racers really, really liked it. So did their squishy bits.
How many dirt bikes have you seen of that era with no seats like that, and the sides of the tanks are polished from the Levi's or the leathers just polishing the tanks?
Let's talk about one of the, my opinion, probably the biggest deal with this bike, and it was a first, and it's, again, something we are still using today in all modern two-strokes. This was the first Yamaha 250 to have a power valve, and what the power valve does is it changes your exhaust port timing. So if you're familiar with two-strokes, you have ports in your cylinders, okay? You don't have regular valves like a four-stroke, because valves are for suckers. You have cylinder ports. Now, what you can do is you can change and manipulate the heights of the ports a little bit to get the engine to act the way you want. If you take your exhaust port and raise your exhaust port, and what I mean by that is you just open up that hole a little bit on the top, what that's going to do is it's going to allow the bike to really hit the higher RPMs, and it's going to give you the power up top in those high RPMs. And a lower exhaust port is going to give you the power down low on the lower RPMs, mid-range RPMs. So what Yamaha developed here is the power valve. And what that is it's actually just a cylindrical little thing, moves back and forth, and it's spring-loaded. And it's spring-loaded in the down position. As RPMs increase, there's a centrifugal thing in here, and that starts overcoming the power of the spring, and that moves the power valve and changes the port timing up, and it raises the exhaust port timing, and that's going to give you the power you need when you're in those higher RPMs. So what the power valve does effectively is it covers you from low all the way up to high, and it keeps you in the power wherever your RPMs are, and that is amazing. Again, it's technology we're using today. All modern two-strokes run a power valve. This is the back side of that power valve here, and that comes from this side over here. So there's a linkage in here, and your power valve's running across here because your exhaust port's on this side, obviously, because your exhaust pipe's on this side. Intake ports. You're going to have transfer ports here in this cylinder because the air fuel is coming through the airbox, through the carburetor, picks up the fuel. Now your air fuel mixture is coming in through your reeds. These Yamahas ran a 6-pedal reed, and it comes down into your lower crankcase. The gas and oil lubricates your main bearings, pulls that air fuel mixture up out of the crankcase, comes through these transfer ports into the top of the piston. The piston comes up, it makes a bang, and when it comes down, your exhaust gases are coming out this exhaust port. And that's the Yamaha power valve system. So in here's your centrifugal thing in behind your water pump. Again, as that RPM increases, that starts spreading out, overcomes the spring tension that's holding your power valve in the lower position, and it starts raising that exhaust port so you can stay in the power in the higher RPMs. Just super cool. And if I'm being honest, this is one of my favorite Yamaha engines, the architecture of it and stuff. I think it's just a really cool looking motor. What I don't like about these is the cooling system. It's convoluted. It's a mess is what it is. But once we get it all fixed up, it'll be fine, and it'll work good for what we're doing. developed a number of years before this. Yamaha developed the monoshock. If you remember, all old dirt bikes had outboard dual shocks back here. Yamaha switched it to a monoshock. Now, this is still the era where we have the linkage back here, and our shock runs up the backbone of the frame, just like it does on our 1979 IT 175 that we did a while ago. If you guys remember, there's a big long shock that went up here. This is the same setup. One of the other big changes they made, though, is with this brake stay right here. This is what's called your brake stay. And what this does is, when you're running drum brakes, you have to keep your brake plate still. And your hub here spins around that brake plate, and then your shoes, you know, will expand to stop it. But you have to keep this piece still. And what happens a lot is they were using weaker brake stays. In '82, Yamaha redesigned this. It is a big, healthy chunk of aluminum, and it's way stronger than anything they had previous to this. And that's good, because once things start wearing out in these brake stays, what'll happen is it'll just kind of cock a little bit, and it really affects the braking of the bike. So this was a huge upgrade. Man, again, the gold wheels, I love them. How could you not?
When I saw them at the car wash, when you got dirt off, and we saw color from dirt, it's like, oh my God, these are gold.
These bikes cleaned up pretty well for 10 bucks at the car wash. Here's something that's really interesting. This bike actually weighs like 243 pounds, which is close to 20 pounds heavier than any other 250 motocrosser in the class. And that is silly. Like 20 pounds when we're talking dirt bikes is, you might as well just have an elephant on your back, you know? That's a lot of weight. But they have the bike engineered and designed in a way that wasn't horrible. The bike still rode really well with the design of the frame and chassis and suspension. We have KYB up front. We have KYB forks. So yeah, this is the all-new 1982 YZ250. This one's not new though. It was hanging in that shop for 30 years. But super cool bike. I'm really excited to tear into this one. We have some issues here. Obviously, you know, we have this issue. It doesn't move. Our throttle doesn't turn. Our clutch is, I'm not even worried about that, but that at least moves. However, the engine, stuck. Stuck as can be. So there you have it, guys. Dan and I came across the country, got these bikes down off of a shop ceiling, met a wonderful family up the road a little ways, got to come here and see our friends Rick and his wife, spent some time catching up with them. This was a little bit of a different video for us. Let us know if you like it. We didn't actually get to turn any wrenches, but hey, hopefully you learned something. Don't forget to check out Liquid IV. Use the code BEARDED20 to get 20% off your first order. It does taste great. It does make me feel better. I've been drinking it for years and I do like it. Rick, again, thanks for having us.
Anytime. You guys are more than welcome here.
We love coming out here to visit you guys. We love your scenery out here. It's amazing.
Well, one of these times you get some bikes and we'll come here and we'll go for a ride.
That's what we actually need to do.
You know, we're in motorcycle capital of riding here. We can go anywhere on a dirt road.
Yeah, Dan's gonna put a video here and here. Check those out. I know you're gonna love them. Have a great weekend. Don't forget to leave some comments and share some memories that you have with these old bikes. See you later.